Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambe Reads the Holy Books of India, Mahabharata428. As you remember, Kritavarma was fighting all too well with Satyaki. Satyaki then took up a javelin and hurt the charioteer of Kritavarma. The charioteer was killed and he fell out of the chariot. The horses tried to bolt, but Kritavarma took the reins in his left hand and continued fighting with his right hand. But before he could compose himself and resume his attack, Satyaki had gone quite some distance. Kritavarma attacked the Pandava army, which had Bhima and the others in the front. His anger against Satyaki was still fresh in his mind. His fighting was therefore more than good. It was impossible for the Pandava host to bear the onslaught. The army was scattered by him. Bhima, Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, all were hurt by the arrows of Kritavarma. He routed the army of the Pandavas. They had to flee in all directions, unable to face the great Kritavarma. Satyaki had now reached the boundary of the army of Kritavarma. He had crossed another river. First the river was called Drona, and now Kritavarma. Many of the great heroes accosted him and tried to impede his progress. But they might as well have tried to stop the fire from burning up a pile of dried leaves. Satyaki had reached the elephant army led by Jalasanta. The army was being destroyed at a fast rate. The field was quickly strewn with the carcasses of the immense elephants. It looked as though Bhima had been at work on the army and not Satyaki. Jalasanta approached the chariot of Satyaki. It was not an easy task to fight with Jalasanta. His arrows and javelins had been dispatched with great force. One of the javelins hurt Satyaki in his left arm. Satyaki rained a large number of arrows at Jalasanta. Jalasanta threw a sword at Satyaki. It cut his bow and fell on the ground. Satyaki took up another bow. He fixed 3 deadly arrows. They followed each other very quickly. The first 2 cut the arms of Jalasanta, and the third, his head. Satyaki now proceeded faster than before. Drona came back to harass Satyaki. He had with him several of the brothers of Duryodhana, and the king too. They all attacked Satyaki. Duryodhana fought very valiantly. He broke the bows of Satyaki one after another. He hurt him too, but Satyaki was undaunted. He felled the standard of the king. He killed the horses of the king's chariot, and he made Duryodhana flee from the field. Seeing this from a distance, Kritavarma, who had just routed the Pandava army, came to help the king. There was again a duel between Kritavarma and Satyaki. The charioteer of Satyaki was hurt, and he fainted in his chariot. Satyaki caught hold of the reins and fought with one hand. He hurt the horses and charioteer of Kritavarma. He shot terrible arrows at him. They pierced the armor of Kritavarma, and he fainted in his chariot, afflicted by the arrows of Satyaki. Drona came to challenge Satyaki. They fought for some time. Satyaki hurt the charioteer of Drona too. He saw the Acharya taking the reins in his hand. Satyaki hurt the horses now. Unable to bear the pain, the horses bolted, carrying Drona in the chariot. They careered on the entire field. Drona gave up his fight with Satyaki and went back to guard the Vyuha from further attack from the Pandavas. Satyaki had gone further into the army of the Kauravas. No one was able to stand the sight of this terrible man who was coursing through their ranks like a river in full flood. It was not possible to look at his glowing form. He was like the sun at midday. He hurt the eyes of all who dared to look at him. Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.